Yo, vloggers on no. This your boy Farai. Tafari, not Tafari, because we're always making a mistake. Welcome to Come True, the podcast. Thank you for coming through. I expect to have a good time, man.
What's the word? What's the word? What's the word? I know I'm usually Mr. Luxurious, but today I'm Mr. Joyful, man. The realist, the happy, the enthusiastic. I know what time it is, man. It's your boy Webb, and we back here with a banger.
Man, switch it up on everybody, man. Hey, guys, I don't know the vibe. Cool, calm, collected is me, Mr. P, Brian. Yes, sir. And we got a special guest today. Y'all see the man. I'm sure the whole VI know his face by now. Mr. Upperclass, the founder himself of Upperclass OG. Welcome, CJ.
Thank you very much for having me. Come True Podcast. It's an honor to be here, and I look forward to speaking with y'all.
But without further ado, I have a little topic to kind of break the ice before we get into things, you know what I'm saying? So it's been a talk, and I think in the Virgin Islands, obviously I'm on Virgin Islands Facebook, that's where I'm from, so I hear it more in my community, but there's this discussion going around about the support coming out of the Virgin Islands. It's always been said like VI people will only support you if you earn and popping, or if they know you, or if you don't make it and then come back and want to do something. So I want to ask y'all, like, how do y'all feel about it? Do y'all think that's something exclusive to the Virgin Islands? Do y'all think that's something exclusive to Black people? Or is this a general problem? Or maybe you just think the people who complaining about it just ain't doing good marketing to be able to get the exposure and get people to support them. Well, what's your thoughts on the situation? Since you're the guest, CJ, we gotta start with you, man.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I feel like all of the different segments of your question has a role to play in whether someone going to be successful or not. Of course, marketing is very important. Who you know is also extremely important, and you know how you're dealing with people. But based on my experience with Upperclass OG, who you know is it's one of the first things, kind of, because that's who's gonna put everybody else on. So automatically your first support system is who you know. It's your friends, it's your family, it's their friends, their family, and then from there we start to spread. So but in terms of VI not being supportive, I think in all honesty, once you know how to play your cards in the VI, to me it's easier when you, like, as a local person, we have a natural sense of, like, we know how to connect with VI people. And I feel like that's kind of like upper class trend. Like, we know what VI people thinking, we know how much they want to spend, we know what they want to see. So I find that in the VI particularly, and well, I guess I grew up here, so I'm comfortable here and I understand the dynamics here. So for me, I feel like VI people are very supportive for the most part, as opposed to being out there in the world. I find that, but back when I was in a state like Delaware, to me, Delaware was an unsupportive state as opposed to coming from St. Croix. But then again, I knew less people in Delaware, so I'm not sure exactly if that unsupportive vibe is exclusive to St. Croix or if other places are just naturally more supportive. I feel like after a while on St. Croix, you do start to experience that, like, wow, people just hate. But that's really anywhere you go, and people go naturally start to jump on as they start to see you more, as you start to build your recognition and build your clout. That's just how it works. And that's just people in general, you know what I mean? Ain't nobody wanting to jump on Noah boat until it start to rain. And that's how it'll be.
That's a bar, dog.
That's a bar. Yeah, that's a
You
bar.
want to know when they cut out alone. so I do. I guess I'll add on to that. I do think that it's not just the VI. I do think it's more Western culture, American, and then that trickles down over to us, where especially the Black community is a bit more critical on each other's business. So for the smallest things that you would take from other businesses, other brand name, big household names, simple mistakes, simple slip ups, you're extra critical, and then we that seem to like to blast people. This social media blasting is just, I don't think it's cool, but we tend to do it a lot, specifically for local businesses, Black businesses, small businesses. So I do think that it exists. Like if you look at the other Caribbean islands when it comes to support for the little people, then people will be showing out with serious pride, you know. I mean, I don't know how it is on the business end, you know. So it might be the same kind of dynamic, same vibe over there. But when it comes to just support of your people, especially when they out in the pool, out in the big world, they get major support. But I do think that that exists amongst the VI and in the States as well.
I agree with both, yeah, and I agree with CJ as well. I think some of it is a little bit of the familiarity when they say that that breeds disrespect sometimes. Like even if you look at like our local artists, let's say for example like a Pressure or some of these artists that live home, you know what I'm saying, and you can
Yeah.
go out and be able to see them in the street and these things. I think that being that close to them, you almost kind of forget like these people are really pioneers and they really should be regarded as celebrities. But because we so close to them, you don't really have that kind of nature going on, you know what I'm saying? On top of sometimes we're competitive, you know what I'm saying? And some people, not everybody, but some people really have that crabs in a barrel mentality sometimes, you know what I'm saying, where they want to see you go to a point, but because of their insecurities, they don't really want to see you get too big because now they're looking at it like, why? How come me in this kind of position? But in the same token, like CJ was saying, we do know how to deal with our people, you know what I'm saying? If you are studying the marketing and you are putting yourself out there and networking, because sometimes that's what separates you knowing people from you just not knowing people. You can't really expect a big support if nobody really know you like that. Especially when CJ's saying most of the people that are gonna come for you is at first is the people that is closest in your circle. So if you naturally go out there knowing this and put yourself in these spaces, increase your likability, and actually go out there with the mindset that, hey, I need to do this, then you will be able to then garner some of that attention from the community and get a little bit more support. And there's always going to be naysayers in anything you do, you know what I'm saying? So my advice for that for this is to just block it out. But Brian, what do you think?
Good points, Web. Good points, Web. I like pieces of what all of you guys spoke on. That's why I feel like it plays on both ends. Like specifically for like CJ, what CJ said, you know, I'll just dabble in each of you guys' comments. Like who you know definitely plays one of the biggest factors in starting up something, especially when you're just kicking off. Like, you know, I'm connected to you, Web's connected to me, Web's connected to another person. That's how it spreads, you know. Word of mouth spreads before you put in any money to market and all that stuff. So I definitely agree with you on that. As in terms of support, I think it doesn't matter here or there. I think for me, how I see it is like a per capita thing, like how people get sucked in with like percentages. Like it's like how much people in this area like it versus how much people in that area. So obviously, you know, St. Croix and the Virgin Islands on a whole is small. So the likelihood that everybody's gonna like what you put out isn't gonna be the same. So you can't compare it to like you go to the States and more people supporting you. You're just in a bigger swimming pool now. You go from a swimming pool to a river to an ocean. So it's like you just have more people in the area. So the percentage is bound to go up. So in that aspect, that's how I really see it. And then another thing too, I think you also mentioned it, Web, it's about like how you marketing yourself. So sometimes I'm gonna be frank, people in the Virginas tend to focus too much on marketing to the people in the Virginas. You're thinking about what people in this small swimming area want. If that's all you want, I mean, if you just want to be successful here, you could always gauge your production or whatever you put out, your marketing is just gauged towards here. But if you want to be recognized on a larger scale, I think authenticity matters and it plays a bigger role. Like if you only going out to make this product just for these people, you're never gonna scale up beyond the Virgin Islands. Or sometimes, you know, you have to go outward and see that okay, I'm authentic to myself. Going back to per capita, so like if I like this, like you know, upper class for example, you know, rustic, you stick to your own, like you're original. You go elsewhere and you promote just being your authentic self is going to spread because other people believe in being their authentic self. So it's something that you hold to. So your branding plays a big role. Like if you're just playing like, okay, I need to do the next big thing for the Virginians people to be on it. Everybody ain't gonna like it. And like Tafari said, like people is gonna hate on it here or there. It's just you're gonna feel the hate because you're in a smaller pool. But when you go into a larger pool, you don't necessarily feel it. You don't take offense to it because maybe not your neighbor hating you. So I think like if you market yourself to not remain in a pool, you don't have to worry about if it's supported here because obviously you're gonna garner some support here from your immediate community. But once you're marketing yourself to go beyond the borders of the 82 square miles, I don't think it matters. So that's my take.
I think it's 84 by the way. But yeah.
Who cares?
I,
Some of it inhabitable.
Close enough.
yeah, that was close enough. But you know what? We know so we don't see. You know, almost right?
You're wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
Rest in peace, Wheeler.
Do that.
So that brings us straight into the next topic. Really, we know again, Mr. Upper Class right here. So it's best that we ask you the upper class questions, and we're gonna start from the beginning. When did Upper Class develop? When did you create it? And also, why did you create it? Because the why is a big part when it comes to that authenticity and spreading yourself and your vibes for people to actually relate to and want to support your product. So when
Yeah.
and why did you start Upperclass OG?
Upperclass OG. Upperclass OG started in 2017, really. But the first sparks of Upperclass was as early as when I was in Central High School in 11th grade. My friends and I, in all honesty, now that we're done this podcast, I always this question right here is one of the most stumping questions for me, just because I always wonder, where do I start? Like, do I tell them the very, very beginning, or do I start where Upperclass OG came in? And a part of me that don't really because just with all the challenges of dealing with people and, in all honesty, falling out with people, like that's part of the story of Upperclass OG, check. And it'd be difficult to take all the credit. It'd be difficult to even be called Mr. Upper Class, and at this point, I accept that I have my ego and I have my pride, and I enjoy a certain part of it, and I accept a certain part of being Mr. Upper Class. But I must always tell the full story for some reason, and just to give credit to how I became who I am today, because it's very important. So I'm gonna start from the very beginning. So the very beginning was as early as 11th grade, and my two friends at the time, Jareem and Rivon, they actually are the two people that actually came up with the term upper class. They was my friends, so whoever they was rocking with, I was rocking with. So Rivon had actually gotten a job with his church. Jareem and Rivon was in the same church, and we all live in Barron Spot. So we all had a bunch in common, and we were just always together. So Rivon and Jareem, Rivon literally lives right across the street from me, and Jareem lived like 2 minutes away down the street. And these two men, they in the same church, St. Anne's, which is also right down the street in Barron Spot. They actually, the church gave Rayvon a job to design some tie-dye shirts for the church, like for him and his it's a Catholic church, so they were doing like communion or something. So he designed some tie-dye shirts for the church, and me and Jareem helped him make it. And after that, we started to wear the shirts. Of course, we made some for ourselves, and we started to just take pictures and dress how we used to dress. And we were also all somewhat into fashion, them more than me, honestly. But so it was all like just coming together slowly, and then we started to we actually started off selling tie-dye shirts to our friends in school, and then from there we called it upper class. They came up with the idea to call it upper class. They came up with the first designs, and in all honesty, I was just rolling with my friends. I was just bandwagon for the most part. Them, I had something going on, I was there all enough to be a part of it, and I didn't mind. I did my role. My role was rocking it, making it look good. My role was starting to, like, once we moved on from tie dye and started to actually make like printed shirts. My, like, for instance, Tafari Fada was actually the person that helped me get the first shirt. So he was like the source. So my role was being the source. So long story short, we just kept doing that. We started to grow from there. And then, but we were in high school, so we did it for just to do something, really. And then as we went to college, naturally everybody started to interested in different things, and we separated. And then I had actually started to just I still had it in my head somewhere. I was still repping upper class, like even in college a little bit. But then I still started to like draw designs, just doodle from time to time while in college. And then my sophomore year in college, I had made my own shirts by myself for the first time. And then that same, and this is 2017, and then that same year, I had gained some trouble and all kind of crazy shit because, yeah, I guess that, but I ain't part of the story too much. I was just going through a lot. I was just going through a lot of ways, man. I just made those shirts, and then I came down to St. Croix, and I gave Zion a shirt, and then just like literally the day after, Zion wore the shirt to the airport, and then boom, Zion passed away in a car accident, and then after that, I was like, and me and Zion, we always would talk about following our dreams and just really just going hard, like not wasting our time, like putting in work and working together and making the most. So after Zion passed away and he literally was wearing the shirt, it just really made me just want to keep going, want to make it something, want to fulfill what me and Zion used to always talk about, making the most of our lives and really not having to work for nobody and live what we see in our heads, you check. So at that point, it was me, my cousin Tyree, my next cousin Ketura, and then so I kind of skipped a step there. So it's his sophomore year. I continued designing, and then I continued making shirts. Tyree was on Syncroid. Tyree was the one really spreading the vibes on Syncroid because I was still in college in the States. So I was just designing and doing my part and getting the shirts to Syncroid. And then I come down every now and then for Ag Fair or for Christmas, and we just really be having fun while making shirts, not really making no money. It was always like a hobby kind of thing where we were just building our reputation slowly. We didn't even catch on to what was taking place, but that's what we were doing. And the reputation came from, of course, the designing the shirts and also hosting events, free events where people would just come through and just have a good time. And we didn't expect nothing in return, a check. So after a while, we developed, and then I moved back to Synchro after I graduated in 2019. And I was like, I had a job for a little while at UVI because I studied agriculture, so I was working in the agricultural experiment station, and then I was like, I can't work no job like this, yo. I just can't. I can't take this serious. I just can't, and I just had to step out and just went full time upper class, and then I had my woman next to me, I had my cousins next to me, I had my friend Rocco next to me, who was also, of course, in the accident with Zan, and I was like, and we all decided to put our foot forward into upper class, and then with the five of us, really, it developed, and that's how we really became. We started to become known. We just kept consistent. We stayed in Sunny Isles, and then it grew into upper class OG. I hope that wasn't too much of a confusing story. I
No,
hope
Nah,
I
man,
that
no.
was that was
That
a
tracked well.
powerful
That
story,
tracked well.
really. Yeah, that was a very well laid out story.
And
okay, good.
and we're gonna go into some details as well. Can you touch on some things that we actually plan to talk about on the pad and want to get your
For sure.
insight a
I,
little bit
I, I
more in
definitely
depth
love
on?
that.
Yeah, man,
So
talk to me.
I want to ask you, so over the years of just following you, yourself, Rocco, all the whole team, and just following the brand, I've noticed that you guys always had a very clear vision. And then even if you go on the website, upperclassog.com, you guys have very clearly lay out your mission statements and you have very strong messaging behind the brand as a whole. You know what I'm saying? So I want to ask you, like, how important was it for you guys to establish these? I would call them pillars because in all the stuff I've learned about entrepreneurship, these things are actually pillars to keeping your brand, for really establishing brand identity and in helping keep our brand remaining for years, especially the story. Um,
Yup, yup.
how have those things kept you going and helped garner support within the community? How would you say those things? How important were they?
Yeah, and I definitely heard Brian was touching on this when he was explaining how he feels about um like branding and marketing, and I feel like, in all honesty, Tyree also played a key role in establishing the foundation. I must say that because Tyree used to read books and he used to actually use word like pillars. He read books that made him understand clearly that any business, any real good business has to have clear visions, clear mission statements. So some of that was definitely Tyree's influence. And a big part of it was also me studying things like sociology and psychology in college. Since I studied general agriculture, I was able to take a lot of electives such as and I chose sociology and psychology, and it made me they just pointed out to me basically how to connect and what humans are like, how organization, how a society is working, and how I feel like I'm all over the place with this response, but basically it pointed out to me that if I wanted to take something and really reach people, I had to gain a type of understanding of people in general, and I guess and of myself, and I guess that's kind of like that helped me really write down things that I found important and things that I know that on a psychological and a human universal level people would also find important to check. Like, so that was really the benefit of those classes. It helped me see more universal rather than localized thinking that Syncroy promotes. Check. And Brian was also talking something about marketing and saying that that plays a key role in it, and it really does play a key role because I feel like, for instance, on Syncroy, for instance, right? Syncroy, most businesses on Syncroy, and the reason why I think Upperclass OG has been able to shine on Syncroy is because they don't connect to anything of substance.
Like the talk.
You check, they're not connecting to anything of substance. And luckily for us, and unluckily for us, tragedy helped us connect to substance from a young age. You check, because our lives was uprooted in a way that was ugly, you know what I mean? A way that was harsh. And like people died, you know what I mean? People that we see our whole lives, like it's like and suddenly. So it definitely shifted our thought process and it shifted us to become deeper, in all honesty. Well, at least we now saw how shallow we was and we now wanted to be deeper. So we make sure that when we wrote our philosophies, that when we wrote down our mission, our vision, that it considered depth, that we try to release ourselves of ego, we try to release ourselves of selfish and think on a wide, universal, how can we connect to everybody, what can everybody feel kind of vibes. Not just, yeah, rock my brand because I'm cool and I wear gold, and more so rock my brand because you could feel me. Rock my brand because I actually, in my mission, in my purpose, in every sale, in my price, you could see that I care about you somewhat. You know what I mean? You could feel that when you come buy a shirt from me, you could feel that I care to know your name, I care to know who you is, I care to build something beyond just taking your money. You check. That's always where I try to come from. That's always my intent, and that's always, and yeah, I going too far on, but I think
Yeah, no, your responses are on point, dog. You saying you all over the place, but it's legit on point. It's very clear and very powerful as well. That was a great answer, and that and it's just leading us perfectly into the next
Well,
topic. So it sounds like Webb wanted to say
before
something.
you go far, right? Yeah, I want to highlight because y'all know I is Mister in the books, mentorships, and these shit. I want to really highlight something he brought up so that everybody that getting into the entrepreneurial space, and I don't matter what it is, everything in life is sales. You know what I'm saying? Every conversation is sales. This podcast is sales because we're trying to sell your opinions and ideas, not in a negative manner. You know what I'm saying? And I want to highlight the fact that the things that you went to be able to excel, sociology, psychology. At the end of the day, whether we want to believe it or not, we're in the business of people. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like, without the people, you're not gonna make no money. I don't care what space it is, you know what I'm saying? You're in the business of people in one form or fashion. So once you start to be able to connect and really build a connectivity with the people, that's when you're really able to excel and build lifelong brands. And they don't have to be like a connection to the earth or people feel a certain way. Just any kind of connection. I like to use the example of like Gucci and the big brands that everybody hold in these big regards. The reason I buy these things is not because they're the best looking thing, it's because really and truly how they make you feel. That feeling that you get when you put on these kind of things.
people selling it for them, yeah.
The people selling it for them. Because if you really take it down to bare and bones, is a t-shirt with some print on it, and a man charging $200-$300 on it. And sometimes they say really don't look better than half the local brands in your city. If we really be honest about it.
Yeah, for sure.
But because you have bought in to that idea, you feel compelled to want to get. And if you as a brand coming up, or you as an entrepreneur could find that connectivity with your brand, and you connect to your brand yourself, and not just make it about, hey, how can I make this dollar? Because don't be wrong, try and make the dollar sometimes gonna work. Because some people just creative and it look crisp, and that's enough connectivity, just it look good to people. But for some, you have to really go out there and establish these things, and that's why the vision is important. That's why the mission is important, because as well, in the times of like when shit is shitty and you ain't doing that well, those are the things that are going to really push you forward. And one thing CJ said, and I commend these man for this all the time, is them man really care, bro. Like even when my uncle I come over there, I tell my uncle, but you remember? I don't know if you remember the time
But
he
now with
come
a lot
through.
too.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
far.
Jaffa. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
yeah.
the one thing this man leave this thing like, wow, Mr. and I would buy anything from these man. These man is real down to earth people. Like that
Yeah.
man really just feel the energy, you know what I'm saying? That's one thing I've always seen about upper class. And when people talk about it, is that man could feel the energy. They really feel the love. And that man really get the connectivity, you know what I'm saying? That's why I say, you don't know me. I always rock where I am, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's because of that reason, because I don't just feel like I'm being sold a shot for real.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
mean
And that's
solar experience really? Okay.
you know what I'm saying? Is the whole experience. I really
Yeah.
commend the man them for that, for sure, for sure.
I,
Yeah,
I,
man.
I
Thank
want
you very much.
I want to comment on that for real again, Web. Like I feel like you really bring it home, but like that's the biggest thing for big brands. That's what brands they have when they last forever. They're selling you that feeling, that emotion. Like when you get that diamond, when you get a car, they're selling you the feel. It's not just that you look good. It's like, well, how do you feel when you get when you down and out, you still spend your last name because how you feel. And what I truly say is upper class to me. I gonna say other people could disagree. For a lot of the local clothing brands, I would say above all else, upper class has mastered selling you a feeling, a vibe. It's always a vibe. When you go there, if you not just going to buy, a CJ them know me and how I come here. I like to stand to the side and see how they engage with the customers. And realistically, I stand there a couple of times when I'm making sale. You know they calling every customer by their first name. And if they don't know your name, you know they're making an
Legit.
introduction and engaging with you. You check.
Real talk.
And if it's your first time coming, they talking to you about when you coming back. You don't even exchange anything yet. And they already telling you why you should come back. So not only you gain a connection, but you also planning for another interaction. And that's big. A lot of people don't understand that. Like, I'm not just trying to sell to you one time. I'm trying to build a connection. So when you see me, you feel compelled to engage with me another
Yeah,
time.
again.
You check.
Right.
And I think that's a key factor in promoting, especially the kind of business they're in. They're in a people business. You check. So I feel like upper class in that sense are selling you a vibe and a sense of community. Like, like when I go, I ain't just gonna get a shut down, get a daps up, we're gonna crack a little
Yeah.
joke, we're gonna
Right.
vibe, they're gonna put
Like
me
get
onto
some
something
fruits.
new.
Yup,
You
Hey.
yup.
check. You
Always some.
just don't know. You just don't know what vibe you gonna run into. You know what I'm saying? Like they could be like, like they could even put you onto a different connection. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yup, yup.
to me, like that's key. Like what you said, Web. Like they build that feeling, like that comfort. Like you put on an upper class shirt, like like yeah, this a vibe. So they truly have mastered that as a clothing brand, a lifestyle. I like that. So I just wanted to double tap on that for it. For it.
Respect
And
it.
I want a triple tap, really. Because yeah, because like y'all said, they are really here for the people. Like CJ said, it ain't always about the money. I did sometimes take pictures for them at fair different events, but you sometimes see like little youths come through. They'll be like, "How much is this shirt?" $20, and you can see that I get like, "Damn, I don't have it." And they'll be like, "Well, how much you have?" And they just work with the little man them to get them what they need, and you just see the look on them little dude's face, just how they feel like really like you see us
And
like
they gonna remember
excited the
that.
man to be exactly. They'll remember that for life.
Yup,
And
yup.
not only that, you can also get photo ops. Sometimes the man get free cool bush tea. Like like you said, you don't know what you're gonna get. So
Yup.
it's much more than a product that you gain when you pass through at these man. And you could see it in the results, you could see it in the support, you could see it in them damn lines. I don't know if y'all ever been at fair, but god damn, the support to be crazy, non-stop support.
Yeah,
So
great
it
respect.
speaks for itself, man.
Respect, bro. Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, also want to
Yes,
say
sir.
this one with some respect because all of y'all been supporters for a long time, and I mean the shows y'all been coming through from early place for use blood cousin day one to check, but even though you was cause you that don't mean that you have to support and you still been supporting your checks. I appreciate that big time. Just want to make that public. And Web, I also gotta give you your respect, you know what I mean, for being a visionary for long and for believing in your black brothers because you definitely was one of the first people before while I still been in school actually. I think you even send me money, invest, and I send you back the money like legit. Like we ain't had no paperwork, no nothing, but you have to trust me and you have believe in the vibe. And you know what I mean? That's I commend that and I'm glad I could commend that in on the big screen right now. You check, let everybody know that you're a real dude for that. And put your money where your mouth is. You check.
Give
Brandon
thanks,
too,
my
you
bro.
always coming through. You know what I mean? Spending your money. I know sometimes Brandon don't even want to shut Brandon just say, yeah, I gonna spend my money and he's my yeah, man. Just wanted to really say thanks y'all for those kind words and those encouragements. And I'm not sure if y'all wanted to jump into the next topic, but I gonna also say that, you know, we really are in the people business, yo. We really are, and that's something that I've known from long. That's something that we've somewhat known from long, and that's actually the greatest challenge too. You check. The greatest challenge is dealing with people. That's what life is all about when you really think about it. Ain't no job matter. It don't matter what you do, whether you're a judge, a police, an engineer, a bum. If ain't nobody in the world, ain't nothing matter. You check. And
Facts.
I must admit that that's why, like I said, especially, I was just thinking to myself earlier before I even jump on this podcast that, the one thing about being a positive influence, right? And I even witnessed this in my uncle too, like positive Nelson, like just the one thing about being a positive influence is that you easily become a hypocrite, yo.
Man,
That's the one thing. Next thing you know, usually because you're saying so much positive and people looking to you to be positive, and you know what I mean, people expecting to build to really when they see you, they look forward to your energy, your check. So you have expectation to uphold. You know what I mean? You don't want to let people down. You want to always maintain with the respect that you have, your check. But people are human and people will feel challenged at times and there's a lot of challenges that's involved in dealing with people. And I just realized now that to be an influence and to be somebody that people regard as positive is extremely challenging because being positive is extremely challenging because life is
facts.
extremely challenging. And you really have to really be like, you have to dive deep. And this something I've been suffering from, and I've been like really noticing. Like I'm like, wow. Even these things I point out my shots. Even when I crashed my car today, I I I, I thought about my shot. I was like, cool out, B. And that's the very first one I make. You know what I mean? And that's the foundation of all of them that you to see that cool out, B. And it's like, wow, I really need to cool out, B. I've been in that car losing it, like, fuck, I can't believe my stupid ass. And it's like, wow, let me think about my own shot.
Yeah.
And I think
Real.
about cool out, B. And I say, wow, now that this is a moment right here, right? A moment when my emotions could easily take over. And now I have to really embody my clothes. I have to really embody the message that I put out, the depth of what I say, the depth of what I sell to people. I can't just allow it to be something I sell. It's like I could always make jokes. I could always say, hey, stop putting on short for style. Just make him fuck with me, check. Because he catch me being a hypocrite, you know what I mean? And I'd be like,
Yeah.
I'd ready for it and say, yeah, you know what I mean? But you're right. You once you positive and once you promoting something positive, you have an additional challenge that you place on yourself where you have to try out extra hard not to be a hypocrite because that's like the preacher in the church, you know what I mean? Nine
Facts.
things out of 10 days a hypocrite. They ain't living to make you feel holy. They making fuck. And I just saying that I know the message I had to put out and I know that my vibe ain't pure all the time and my vibe and my energy ain't always lifted. But I am, especially in talking to y'all right now, especially what I went through today. I am going to always. My thing is, I gonna always dedicate myself to upholding what I preach. Check, and that's also taps into the generosity of upper class OG right there, because I remember like even when Fire bring up where like when a youth pull up and they need something like they like wow I mean guy and I think I mean, well, but yeah, they did just come through and did it be like, well, I mean, like $40 for a hoodie. Well, I mean, like, all I get is 25 or all I get is 20. I mean, like, I grew up not being rich neither. So when I go village and them kind of thing, I only got about $30 in my pocket. I probably couldn't afford a $40 hoodie. So I'd always feel for them, especially when they're young like that, or really anybody. I just feel for them. I'd be like, wow, I've been in that same shoes, yo. And it was actually a moment, right, that me, Tyree, and Zan experienced when we was in Morgan's walking home from Ricardo a day. We was in Morgan's trying to buy stuff because that's in the route to home and check. And we ain't heap of money, had like $3 or something max. We trying to buy something. And then this man from Hess, this Hispanic man from Hess, he was watching us. And this man just pull out $10 and give it to us. And $10 in Morgan's at 5 years old and 7 years old. Like, wow, money, man. This man gave us $10. This man gave us $10, and we was like, we know this man from nowhere. And we was like, like we all watch like he's Jesus. We like, wow, dude. Like amazing, like such generosity. Like we had never experienced nothing like that from no stranger. And those moments, like, they stick with me my whole life. And just acts of generosity. My mom is also a very generous woman, and she, you know what I mean, she don't take in homeless boys and that kind of thing living with us. So I always understood, like, got to give. You got to make sure that you're being generous. Like that's like your role. Like especially if God bless you, and especially if you're coming up, like give, make this world a better place. At the end of the day, the quality of your life is dependent on the quality of your surroundings, of your community. You check. So if these man poor, you need to help them. Don't allow them to just stay poor, because one, they're gonna ruin your life if they poor. Because if they're poor now, they want to rob you. So
Facts.
it's in your
Well,
best
yeah.
interest not to have anybody around you poor. It's in your best interest not to have anybody around you starving. You know what I mean? So that'll be my goal. Every time I give to those youths that suffering, every time we build up upper class OGs built around that kind of foundation of generosity. Like even if I was to pass on, I write in the operation agreements, give back this amount of percentage, because that's the point almost. You check?
You ain't gonna lie, man. This is a bad fucking episode, dog.
Yeah, dog, yeah, man, God almost giving me goosebumps and shit. Yeah, Lee. Well, let's
Yeah.
jump into the next topic, man. Let's jump into the next topic.
Before you jump far right,
Yeah.
just because this is so powerful, if CJ, if you don't mind, if you could stop the jingles, if you could find out where to stop the jing.
Yeah, man, for sure. That
Yeah. This why I need clarity, mister. Fuck that.
I mean, fuck
I
it
know.
up.
Fuck this bars, man. Ain't no
Man,
bars
is
here.
dropping gems.
Yeah, this fucking a lot of fucking hard
Yeah.
talk, mister.
So you did mention you went to school for agriculture, right? Not sure the
Yes.
exact title, but so you went to school for agriculture, and aside from y'all messaging, which y'all have a very clear mission, y'all pillars, everything, y'all seem to always had a agriculture feel, even down to y'all bags, the vibe of the bags that y'all give out or used to give out at times. And then
Yeah.
y'all also, I see on y'all social media, both personal and upper class page, y'all now have produce. I've been stopped by your spot a few times, y'all garden looking lush, more lush and lush every time I pass through.
That's
And
that.
yeah, y'all seem to have even reaping now, so y'all selling produce, local drinks, everything.
Yo.
So I know it's important to y'all for sure. So what's the importance of agriculture as a whole, especially in the Virgin Islands, living in the Caribbean, living in St. Croix?
We ain't gonna lie and say, y'all really showing me how much I love to talk. I be there like, wow, I like talking too much, you know. I want to tell me I just keep talking. I realize, I really do like to talk, and I like this question a lot. And it boils down to, I remember in college, right? So let me just tell you why I even went to college for agriculture. At first, I was not too into college naturally. I did good in school. I played, you know what I mean. I did good in school enough to go to college, and I knew I had to go to college because that's what all my family members did. We went to college, but I wasn't so like yeah, I need to pick a nice college and visit my college, and SATs are very important. I just was going wherever things played out right. So, but I also realized that I wanted to grow cannabis professionally. I was like, I knew for a fact that cannabis was going to be legal soon. Like, I just saw it coming. I was like, okay, yeah, cannabis is the move. Cannabis is up and coming. By the time I go to school and get a degree in cannabis, I'd be good to be rich. I just jump into the field one time. I thought it was the move. So I wanted to study. I wanted to go to school to learn to grow cannabis. And the only thing that they had, of course, when I told my advisor that, he was like, well, we don't have a cannabis program, but we have a general agriculture program where you could learn in what you need to learn about plants to grow to grow and grow cannabis when you're done. I was like, hey, sounds good enough. So when I got into it, I realized it was like, wow, it was more than just plants. It was plants, it was cows, it was sheep, it was pigs, it was chickens. It was general agriculture. So I got a very general understanding of the entire agricultural sector. And just to touch on the actual question, I remember the day I learned what agriculture was from this African professor named Dr. Broderick, a handicapped man in a wheelchair. Remember him very clearly right now. His name was Dr. Broderick. He was a man from Africa. He was teaching me I think, can't remember the name of the class, right? But he said something a day. He was like, what do y'all think agriculture is? And we all gave him our college responses. And he just watched us and he was like, yo, agriculture is every single thing around you. I'm like, here we go, another jackass professor. But he was right. He was like, dude, every single thing you eat, every single thing you drink, every single thing you wear, what's in your phone, what's used to build your house. Like I was like, wow. When like most people don't even think like that. Most people do not realize that all of your garments, every your that hoodie, that hat, your shoes, your pants, any single thing that you put in your mouth to consume, anything you put to drink, these are all agricultural products to check. And I was just he just made it very clear to me: agriculture is the world. Agriculture is the beginning and the end. You check. That's the first thing that humans had to understand to build a civilization. It's the last thing that we're gonna understand. It's essential. You check. And I feel like, in all honesty, agriculture is, to say it's important is an understatement. It's absolutely necessary. It's life itself. And the fact that people, I honestly find that the school system does us such an injustice in teaching us common sense. They don't teach us gratitude, and they don't teach us like gratefulness. And it's like agriculture is something that, it's not, to me, it's not something that should be so specialized. Of course, naturally, everybody, like some people gonna want to go further and dive deeper into agriculture and become experts. But basic agricultural knowledge is honestly something that everybody ought to have when you think about it.
Mm,
It's not
true.
something that's supposed to be so like, yeah, he's a farmer. I don't farm. I don't know how to. No, it's not supposed to be like that, because, well, I am a farmer. So if Plaza and these places don't have food, think about you. Like, think about independence for a moment. You know what I mean? And people really don't think independence. You check, these man is thinking that somebody gonna always take care of them, that the grocery store gonna always have food, somebody gonna always be farming. I can always go to them and get and just spend my money. But it's like, you need to think in a sustainable way, think logic. And it's like, it's so simple. I planting something is so simple. I ain't gonna lie, I'd be surprised. Like, even all the passion fruits that we've been harvesting to make the juice that y'all seeing, and the hibiscus, it'd be like, wow. I'd feel like sometimes, and that's a big reason why I'd just be so willing to give away some of the fruits, like give away some of the lemongrass, because I'd feel like I ain't do nothing. Like I haven't done much. Like I just plant them, I take care of them every now and then, I protect them from certain bugs, but it really feel like a blessing from God. Like God is just growing these plants around me. He's causing them to thrive. And, well, God, it's not he, but God is causing everything to just prosper. You check? And it just be like, I feel like, yeah, if I just take God work and sell it, kind of feel a little fuck up. So I just want to be very generous, because I feel like my farm to be generous to me. I don't know that with the amount of produce I had to be getting, I didn't put in the work to get all of that. Like I thought I would have to work harder for all of that. You check. So
Real.
my outlook on agriculture, to really conclude it, is it's absolutely necessary, and it's absolutely important for everybody, just a simple everyday human, to have a general understanding, to understand the importance of planting a tree, have the basics, plant your teas, plant, you know what I mean? Understand what it is to plant, understand where food comes from, be grateful for the reality that everything's coming from somewhere. No, don't just allow it, don't just allow people to feed you. Don't just sit there with your mouth. Learn to fish before you just accept fish all the time. You check.
Mhm.
This is important for us for everyday life.
I'll go and just tap in on the just the generosity of God. Really, I see this, watch this video. I think I share it as well with this homeless man. I think he was from Trinidad. He was just breaking down a mango. And he was like, the world is so lost. I don't understand why we in the predicament that we are in, with how everybody hates so much. When I see a mango, when I eat a mango, just tasting a mango, I know that I am loved. I know that there is a God because of something so beautiful that grows out of the earth, that tastes so sweet, that tastes so amazing, that there is a God. And the like he just said, sometimes you could just throw seeds in the ground. You don't even think about that heck. And because it's in the right place, and because it's getting water, because it's getting sunlight, and because there was soil there, it will just grow.
Yep.
And many times it will grow to the point where it is producing something that you could take off of it and feed
Yep.
your family with.
Yep.
And now just imagine when you just put in the little more effort to intentionally plant it, to intentionally grow these things. It's really not as hard as people think. We're not talking about 5, 7, 8 acres of just crops. We're just talking about one watermelon could feed your family for a few days, a family of 2, 3.
Yep.
Like
That's
and
breakfast.
watermelons, you throw a few seeds down watermelons, once they get water, it grows.
It
It
gonna big.
grows.
It
That
gonna big.
happened to me when I say some seeds and I throw it start growing through the fence,
I
like
remember
3,
that. I
4,
remember
5
seeing that.
watermelon. Yeah. So,
Yep.
And them watermelons were good.
All right,
and it
it'd be
was
good.
good.
You'd be there
It
like,
was good.
yo, you'd be amazed. You'd be like, I can't believe, like, I ain't do much, and this is what man selling me in the story, like, and it's better than what they sold me in the story, like,
Right.
it'd be magic. It'd be magic, like, wow, plants are really something. And I ain't gonna lie, like, one of the shots that are really, like, one of the nogs, the name of the games that really be striking me these days, and like really, like, I've neglected my whole life, is health is wealth, yo.
That's my favorite one.
Me ain't gonna lie to you. That one there, y'all, the world looks over this. Them Europeans know it though. When you go to Europe and saw them, I know health is wealth a little bit. Well, at least a certain part of health when it comes to eating healthy and keeping your place clean and things like that. They have an idea of that. And all of us have somewhat of an idea of health is wealth, right? But a lot of us also think that, well, let me speak for myself for this one, but I thought that wealth was health. I thought I need to be wealthy before I could be healthy.
Mm.
And it's like, you need to be healthy before you could be wealthy. You can't try to be wealthy and disregard your health. You know what I mean? And I was doing that for sure. I always wanted to be wealthy, and I just focus on, yeah, I'm gonna be wealthy. Fuck the rest. Me ain't care. Me ain't gonna eat. I'm gonna sit here and walk. Like, I ain't gonna take, like, I didn't value fully taking care of myself, and I didn't value health. Like, even and that's why I realizing now that the ignorance of the common person when it comes to agricultural knowledge is an injustice to the health of the community. It's a great injustice, because I ain't gonna tell you, I got a white neighbor, right? She's my girl and so Charlene, real cool. But she come from New Orleans, and she does not, like, when she's sick or when something going wrong or like the basic stuff, the woman don't think to drink tea. She don't think to get like some bay rum to put on her foot. She don't think about no Tiger Balm to put on her bruises. Like, she don't know what to do, yo. She's completely lost, and that's one thing that, like, having like gasso grandparents, they really put you on to. Like,
Facts.
gasso
That
grandparents are naturally aware of the herbs. You check, so they relying on these things. Like, my grandmother was a nurse, and she come from St. Kitts, so she bringing hospital techniques, and but first, the first thing she goes to is the land. You know what I mean? She has knowledge. She has basic. She ain't no farmer. She ain't no farmer. She quick to chop down a tree, but she's definitely she's definitely aware of the value of the herbs, and most of them from those times are, you check. And in these days, not like with the new, like, there's a new trend that's pushing the people towards the natural world more, which is lovely. You know what I mean? But on a whole, on a majority, especially people in the States. And Croy, of course, and Islanders naturally have more of a knowledge of it. But people, the world itself lacks that basic ability to really take. We don't win. We're very unhealthy, and we don't even know how to start to being healthy. Like, for instance, I don't even know how to, like, I have to learn how to cook now, and I'm about to be 27. I never studied, like, okay, CJ, you need to really learn how to cook, or else you're gonna be buying food from places that ain't taste that great, really not good for you. Check. And I feel like these are the things that are gonna really help our community be richer. You know what I mean? Like that focusing on that health, how we to eat, yo. I don't know. Most of us don't know how to eat, you know. Most of us just eat to end hunger, but we ain't eating as energy. We're not eating like what I consume is going to fuel me to think properly and to feel proper and to build my body to be the strongest. I personally feel like what I've been taller. I feel like how my mother had more of a sense of health, and so I feel like I'd have grown bigger, I'd have been a bigger man. You check. We shit. We'll be stunting
Yeah.
ourselves and so. You know what I mean? I really feel so like we'd be stunting ourselves and like that lack of awareness. Like I just don't know. No one showed us, and I feel like it really goes down to like even construction, yo. Like even when because even this house here, like me and my friend, we literally built a wooden house with his father, and I was like, you know, my father didn't teach me nothing about no construction. I didn't know nothing about no construction. I always saw construction as something that's for them construction man, you know what I mean? That ain't for me. That's for them construction man. That's their thing. And I realize now it's like, dude, you should at least learn the basics of construction. I feel like everybody, woman and man, should learn the basics of construction. Not to say you need to build a house, but at least have the basics to build a dark house. These little things will give you such a understanding and such a up. Because the people that do construction, they catching us half of the time, you know. Same
Mhm.
how
Facts, you know.
the farmers catching us half of the time, the mechanics catching us half of the time, because all of us are these men will do thing in 5 minutes and charge you $100. And if you don't know, you gonna pay the $100 and think, yeah, man, he fixed my car, that's all I needed. Drive off.
Hey,
But it's like
somebody tell me ignorance is expensive.
Yeah.
ignorance is
Hey,
very expensive,
yes,
and I think that's
yes.
the best way to put it. Well, that's really all I'm saying in a nutshell. Ignorance is very expensive, and like, yo, if you want to come up, you want to make the most of your life, don't you can't afford ignorance with nothing, especially now with your health.
Absolutely.
Right.
And just I ain't gonna go too much because you said a lot. But for one, I wanna shout out my father, rest in peace, and brother man, my stepfather, because agriculture was part of my upbringing for sure. Both of them had farm. My father had farm. My father had two vegan restaurant. So I grew up with a little bit more of an understanding of health as wealth. And don't get me wrong, I have my faults too, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause I come to America and like I lose some of myself, but I find myself later as I get older, getting back to these principles. I find myself, I was just telling the fellas other day I in Home Depot. And I just there in the plant section and they're like, man, Miss Sunday, wish I had yard and them thing to plant.
Oh,
In Arizona just forgot we can't get nothing. I mean you could grow
yeah.
some stuff, but
I like
I wish I
cactus.
could be like home to go
Yeah,
back and start to be able to plant and people even just in terms of the health, people usually wait till late in their life. That's a trend. You wait till late in your life when you're about to dead to
yup,
now
yup, yup, yup.
you know what I'm saying, to know pay attention to your health. If you notice with some of these wealthy people, that's one of the things they spend a lot of money on. The athletes, all of them, they spending money on health because they know it's gonna help them live longer to enjoy the riches. You know what I'm saying? So it's very very important to really take advantage of and understand these things and understand like the impact. I know with all the diseases, all these negative aspects is what really cause us to start to get interested in so but in these things. But what you're talking about is very powerful things, you know what I'm saying? And history repeats itself. If you really kind of look at it, now you're having a little bit more health trends. Now you're seeing everybody want to do it yourself projects in the crib and things, so they're getting back to it. But these are things we should have been instilling in our young, you know what I'm saying? Luckily for me, I grew up
True.
in the Caribbean. On top of I grew up in a Caribbean household where people was doing these things, people was cooking. So
Father
I
was
had
on.
a you check. So I had the luxury of being able to learn some of these things. You know what I'm saying? Like my whole family is carpenters and these kind of things. I had a little different
Yeah,
experience. And
yup.
it also speaks to connectivity. Like these activities is activities when you get into them that really make you feel connected. Like when
Mm-hmm.
old people getting ready to go and they want to humble themselves and feel good and feel relaxed, what they go do? Start gardening and start planting flowers and these things. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? So
right, right.
it also speaks to connectivity, you know what I'm saying? These are things that really connecting to the art. I don't know if y'all are spiritual people, but these are things that really connecting you to the art and help keeping you grounded, you know what I'm saying? Because you have a different appreciation, like Pharaoh was saying with the man with the mango and Cedar been saying, you have
Yup.
a connectivity to life. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because
Mhm.
you understand the upbringing of life, you understand the creation of something outside of your immediate power. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
you do so little and they grow so big.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
imagine like you planted avocado tree taking years and years to bear.
But when
You
it
know what I'm saying?
bear,
They teach you patience.
Yup.
All these kind of things which I take for granted during the process. But that's all I'm gonna say on that, so we could continue and get into some more conversation, man.
Good vibes.
As well,
Yeah.
surprisingly enough, I did not know how to use my hands mostly through my mother and then some through my uncle Eddie. But my mother is one person that knows how to work with her hands. If if it's something that she could build, she ain't looking to Home Depot or somewhere to buy it. She'll be like, let's make this a project, let's build it.
Yup.
So
Yup.
that's where my experience come with actually using tools. That's not the typical route. It's usually your father. She's also the one that teach me how to tie a tie. So funny stories. Man.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
yes,
Farah
that's
actually teach me how to tie my shoes, by the way.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
See,
I
Yeah.
don't remember that.
Remember that
reach
day
out
very
and teach
clearly,
one.
right there, Ricardo Richards.
Where
That's
I
Yeah.
teach you
fine.
to double tie with the two
Yeah, with
hooks.
the two. Yeah, I had to still do the two. Me, like, I had to still.
Yeah, I did that for a long time, to be honest.
I only just learned the one the other day. Like,
I
but
can't
yeah,
imagine seeing grown self doing the two bunny ears. But yeah, man, Web, I feel like you touch on a good little point, man. I feel like you value anything that you really put your hands in it, man. Like anything from putting your hand in the soil, you gonna value what you eat, you gonna see, you gonna value those fruits.
right.
You put your hand in the work you do at home, you gonna value it more, you gonna take care of it more. So I mean like when you ain't invest in anything, you just put your hand to it, even just a little bit, you gonna care for it more. So I like when you said that.
Right.
Of course, of
And for
course, of
real,
course.
God bless your father, bro. You know what I mean? I may
Yeah,
rest in
real
peace.
powerful man. A
Yeah,
lot of
he
things
put
I
you
didn't
on.
really take into consideration when he was wrong, you know what I'm saying? You know, we is hard headed youth, you know what I'm saying? We want to go out there and see everything, but I'm happy I catch on to a lot of it quicker. 'Cause I could have been in my 40s and thing, and I just learned these things, you know what I'm saying? Naturally, in my course of life. And it might have been part of it, him passing was necessary for me to even look back and really remember some of the studies that he was trying to implement, you know what I'm saying? So, all in all, I just give thanks, man, because a lot of the things he was teaching me hold true to this day, and the stuff I implement. Shout out to my mom, stuff. Me want to make it seem like my mother went out there. And my mother and that man teach me how to cook, you know what I'm saying? I remember cooking for my mother when my mother been on bed rest and them things. So while we
Respect.
getting the food, my mother make sure that I know how to cook and iron clothes and do do all these kind of things, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, for sure. Respect to both of them.
That's a good tagging, A lot of the credit to go to the fathers for a lot of things, but your mother is at first when you're youth, you may think you're coming off as nagging, but they pushing you to get involved in things because the more you could do for yourself, the better you're gonna be off. It's like CJ was saying, people can't quote unquote catch you. So it's almost good to be able to dabble in. You don't have to be a master, but know the basic understanding of how to dabble in everything. As
Yeah.
men, we nowadays we got get into that. We need to know how to cook. We need to know how to keep a household. It
Yup.
ain't just about being able to fix things and pick up heavy items. You gotta be more well rounded because you don't want anybody to come in your life and just abrupt it or have to pay and play for everything. If you get money, you could pay it up. But the sense of value is what we're talking about. And to truly value something, you have to, be a part of it. So
Yeah.
that one is everything, cook your own food once in a while, go and play in the soil, get grounded,
Right.
be rounded, people. Be
You're
and
rounded.
I
jack of
know
all trades, but a master of none. But will
facts, and
always
I
be
know
better
I
than a master of one.
absolutely.
Facts.
Yeah, gotta make sure they get the whole quote in there.
Yeah, because
And I
people
know
only
me.
say jack of all. Yeah.
I know me. I just Mr. Pay somebody. But let me make something clear. I know how to do a lot of things. So don't get me
But
fucked
that's
up.
the
You know what
thing.
I'm saying?
You could pay once you could afford it, but because you have that basic understanding, you can't get catch. You could be like, wait,
Can't
I
get
know you
paid.
don't need to
It
do
hard
all
to
of that.
get your money. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes you gotta pay, but definitely, as we know,
Yeah.
ignorance could be expensive. Don't just pay to try to run away. You know what I mean? Pay
Yeah.
because you have time for it. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Now make sure you gain a good quote on your what you paying for it too.
Yeah,
And
makes
Yeah.
sense. So,
Don't let nobody
I-
tell you they got point a new doohickey and you know you ain't got nothing with no doohickey. Is a part
And you know, Brian,
75.
Brian, you actually said something just now about the sense of value.
Mhm.
And just to conclude the question that Webb asked me just now about, yeah, I'm not sure if it was Webb or Farah asked me about
Yeah,
agriculture.
me.
Farah, yeah. Um, that's really why I know that everybody have to be involved in agriculture and that it needs to not be such a isolated practice. You know what I mean? I was the only black person especially from the VI studying agriculture when I was in my class, you know what I mean? And according to Dr. Z, I was the only one that's younger than 25 years old who has a degree in agriculture in the territory of like the VI during my time, check. And I was like, wow, no one else really wanted to study agriculture. But the point that I was about to say is that when it comes to eating food and being grateful, if you don't have no kind of understanding of where that food is coming from, it's like spoiled. It's like if you're raising a child and they have no sense of understanding of where nothing is coming from, of how money to come through, of how good they have life really. You know what I mean? Then you're spoiling the child. You're spoiled and spoilers are serious war. You know, people that say I gonna spoil you, but nothing in the world likes appreciates something that's spoiled. Spoiled means it's gone bad. You check. So to spoil something is to really make them you're rottening that thing. You check. You're making it. You're not doing it at any justice at all when you spoil it. So I feel like when it comes to agriculture, everybody has to have that sense of understanding of where things coming from. So everybody love a chicken, right? But if you raise a chicken and you kill a chicken, then you have a deeper appreciation that that chicken was once alive, yo. And then now you eating life to sustain your life. Your little daughter might have loved that chicken with all her heart, and you know what I mean? Now somebody yamming that chicken. So it's like, yeah, like you got to have a serious and it just make you more appreciative and make you more like
Sure.
intelligent. Like that kind of on like it's like kind of like being poor and then coming up. Like or being as opposed to being rich and then just getting richer. When you went down, when you was poor and you come up, you understand something that that rich person that was always rich does not understand. And that difference sometimes is what is the difference between an NBA star and somebody who don't make it far. Or the rich person and somebody who don't have no drive. You check being like that that sense of value is key to your success.
Okay. So let's change the tune a little bit. I only just see the message in the in the chat. So go to the topic. But for y'all that don't know, if y'all don't know by now, CJ is my cousin, blood cousin, first cousin at that. He's my father's sister, son. So we grew up around each other majority of our childhoods. Was never necessarily best friends. We definitely used to butt heads, but and we wasn't in the same cliques. We used to separate in age groups more so from the older people separating the younger. But we always been in the same places, so naturally, it's all love. Um,
Sure.
so he did mention earlier. You did mention earlier, of course, 2017, good year overall, tragic ending with the passing of Zion randomly in California, where we got that phone call, So that was a very rough time for the family. Of course, I know it was a rough time for you. And so Zion meant a lot to countless people. And of course, of all the brothers in my eyes, I consider y'all to have been the closest. So, and also closest in age. So, for one, how did his passing affect you, and how did you cope, and how were you able to transform that such a heavy loss into something positive at the end of it?
Okay.
Yeah, get deep right real quick.
Then heavy question, I think.
Story for story. I mean, I just be chuckling. So I has been a chuckler whenever people ask me things. Because even today and all, after that car accident once again, I was like, wow, like I thought about a shirt. Like a next dog, I was just like, and it was gonna say make or break. And because that's how I feeling to them, so coming like, I was like, wow, that car things are serious L right now. You know what I mean? And it was like, wow, I could really once again, I actually thought about that Zan. I thought about Zan. I thought about his past, and I was like, this is exactly like that in the sense that it's difficult, and I have to see, and I have to decide now whether I'm going to allow it to make it or break me. I mean, when I'm going to allow it to make me or break me, and I guess that's really what it comes down to in life, man. And that's really what I am accepting now is the challenge of life. Because life is gonna be a challenge, one way or the other. You check whether somebody passing away, whether just all kind of challenges popping up in life, emotional challenges, insecurities within your own self, physical challenges. It's always gonna be a make or break situation. And but when Zion passed away, for me, in all honesty, Zion was 2 years younger than me. And when Zion passed away, I was 19 years old, and Zion was 18 years old. Zion had just graduated from high school, so we were close in age, and definitely the closest of me and all my brothers. And in all honesty, Zion was the closest to me in general, in terms of, I mean, Zion was the only person I ever called my best friend, to be honest, during that time in life. And when Zion passed away, I was tormented to an extent. I was like, wow, yo, like, I can't believe that, fuck. Like, how does someone, like, I was like, this is really how the lightning bolt came into play. 'Cause I remember when I went to my uncle Kevin, my father, brother, he was like when he saw me, he was like, CJ's in shock talking to my father. Like, he's a man that was in the military and all that, like went to war and all that, and he was pointing out the fact that I was in like a state of shock, and no one else had really seen that, I don't think, except for him. He's the only one that put it in those kind of terms, and I was like, he's right, yo. I'm really shocked, and that's kind of why I really started to identify with the lightning bolt insignia, as I'm sure y'all probably read on the website, because I felt like I was shocked. It was like a real, like a defibrillator, like wake up kind of vibe, like life, like you had the whole thing. You was thinking all kind of nonsense and wasting your time with vibes that really don't matter. You check, like, now that your little brother just passed away, I had a clear understanding of what was more important. And yeah, I mean, well, I kind of forget the question for it.
It was, how did it affect you? How did you cope, and then how did you transform it into something positive?
Okay, respect. So how it affected me? It affected me like by forcing me to face mortality, forcing me to accept that the people around me are going to pass away, and that I'm going to pass away, and that I need to make sure that my life is worth something. I need to make sure that I'm going to, I mean, like, a big part of it, y'all, a big part of why I want to make sure that I'm thorough through and through is because I remember at Zion's funeral, which I hardly attended because I was on a real, like, separate beat at the moment where I was just processing it in my own way. But I remember walking into Zion's funeral, and just all the community during that time. I was like, yo, the amount of people at Zion, my younger brother by 2 years, had really, well, a year and like 8 months, but 2 years, he had really touched so many lives, and he had so many people telling stories and crying and feeling for him and really respecting him, and came out to show their respect for him. Like, he was like the governor almost. Like, he had that many people, and he was only 18 years old. I was like, if I was to pass away, even at that moment, even if I was to pass away at 18 years old, like my younger brother Zion passed away at 18, my funeral would have not looked like Zion's funeral. No, I wouldn't have had as many people. I didn't touch as many people. And it would have been a less crowd, and it would have been less touching. Only my immediate family would have probably feel for me, and a couple of friends, but I didn't have that same positive impact on the world as Zion had. And after seeing the impact and really becoming aware of the impact that Zion had, it really showed me that I have to make sure that I have that impact as well. I want to be like Zion. You know what I mean? I want to be respected as Zion was respected. I want to make a difference as Zion made a difference. And I want to make people, Zion made people feel comfortable. And honestly, that's where I got it from, partially. Partially, we got it from my mom and just naturally having hospitality sense. But Zion had a real thing for making people feel comfortable, and always giving people that experience. So it affected me in the ways that I wanted to be more like Zion. I wanted to embody some of the traits that Zion had. And I actually learned in an anime once that they say that when someone that you love pass away, they actually pass on some of their gifts to you.
Yeah.
They check, like, they leave some of their earthly gifts and talents to the people who love them. Check, and I feel like that was one of those gifts that begged him to pass to me, that I reached to make sure that he passed to me. I wanted to make sure that I could reach people, that I could touch people, that I could make the most of my life. So it affected me in a way that it encouraged me. It it boldened me. It made me more bold as well. I was no longer going to submit to being shy, or to being afraid, or to not giving it my all. I understood that if I was going to be something, if I was going to go somewhere, I had to put in what I wanted to get out. Check. And how do I cope with it? You know, like man, I'd still feel cross, and I actually stopped praying for a long time after Zion passed away, because I feel like God answered my prayers, and things started to come to fruition for me after Zion passed away. It was almost like that was like my price to pay to gain the life I always envisioned for myself. So after I had so after Zion passed away, I stopped praying, because I was afraid that of what God would take when He gave me what I wanted. Because I felt like Zion was something that I felt like Zion was like almost like for me, it almost felt like he was sacrificed so that I could see, so that I could gain what I was praying to gain. I mean, I'm sure that's not, you know, I don't think that's, the plan that the universe really transpired, but I feel like, yeah, just telling y'all what I was really just telling y'all what I was going through, the kind of things that was flowing through my head. And in terms
Right.
of me coping, how I to cope to this day, in all honesty, grief to really hit at some very unexpected times. And at this point, it's been 7 years. I think Zion passed away in 20. So yeah, it's been 7 years since
Yeah.
Zion passed away. And Zion was also the first person in my life that had passed away. Like I had never lost anybody close, like really close to me, until it was Zion. Check, the closest to me. So it was like, wow, God went straight for the heart one time. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
kind of lost myself just now. Oh yeah, I was talking about it being 7 years since, and today now I realizing that, of course, in those first years, and I see this with myself, and I really see it with my family as well. And this right here is like, for those first couple of years, you feel that pain very sharply. You feel like that pain is like you walking with that pain every step, every word. For like the first couple of years, I feel like the first year, definitely the first 2 years, you walking with that pain all the time, is constantly, dictating on how you behave. After a while, as time passes, the pain starts to dwindle, as you start to get back into, as you have to just get back into life and take care of yourself and take care of things. And I find that now, 7 years down the line, like people have to learn the same things over and over. And I feel like when Zan passed away, that was one thing that I always had to like, that I engraved in my flesh. Like, dude, like I literally engraved something in my flesh actually during that time. And but I engraved something in my heart that to I always have to remember what I went through with this experience, or else when it, because it's going to happen again, whether it's going to be me, whether it's going to be somebody else I love. I'm and but before that happens again, I have to make sure that I'm always making myself proud. I always feel like, you know what I mean? I have to make myself proud. I have to not be able to me want somebody to pass away, and I did a balling like, why I been a mother cunt. Damn, I should have tried my best to like, and this is something that I really realizing now that I'm really suffering with, and just in having conflict with family and conflict in general. It's like, wow, you want to be a mother cunt. You want to say, man, fuck this man, fuck she, and just like, just submit to this world, to your perspective. But then it's like, wow, now I guess what I'm saying is, now I'm really challenged with, now that I don't have that strong emotion making me cry every day, every other day, making me feel, you know what I mean? Now that it's not as prevalent as it once was, now that I have to remind myself of who to be, I find that this is the moments, like this is the make or break moment for me. Like, who am I going to be? Am I going to really honor the memory of Zion and remember what I went through, and remember how I felt, and remember what I never wanted to feel again, and continue to lead the way as a person who really transcends life itself? You know what I mean? I have to transcend my own physical right now, and put my own pride to the side and my own ego to the side, to make myself proud in the future. so that when that next situation pops up, I could feel like I don't have to feel the same level of like, damn, I should have do more. I should have done this. I don't want to say should, could, would, might. No modal verbs in my vocabulary is what I try to say. You want none of
Hmm.
those words. Those modal verbs, the coulds, the woulds, the should, the maybes, the damn, I wish I want to erase all of that. So Dan affected me in that way as well. And in terms of how I had to cope, I had to cope by doing my best to fulfill what Zion and I used to talk about. That's how I had to cope. By constantly, because Zion was very ambitious. You know what I mean? We were both very ambitious. We had that in common where we both wanted to be wealthy. We both wanted to help Sinclair. We both wanted to make the most of our lives. Check. So that's my way of coping is really by putting in work. I ain't gonna lie to you. Putting in work, putting my all in, and just making the most of what I got at all times.
Respect it, respect it.
It's very, very touching words, really. And you did mention just how much people Zion touched. Like I growing up, like I said, I was kind of made a separation mentally from the younger kids. So it was only in that latter half, really in his 12th grade year, where I started to learn Zion, and I was in the States. So it was like I'm talking about days worth of speaking with him, and I you could really see where that love and that impact comes from, because he just willing to support any dream you have. At that time, I was selling coconut oil. He was like, "Yo, just let me know when me and my boys could come to help you pick some coconuts." Just so happy and willing to just help out. And yeah, his funeral, the amount of people, like if y'all really was there and saw and heard and listened to the stories that I was just like, who the fuck is Zion? What the hell? Like, we talking about grown man that Zion just spread some wisdom on, inspired, supported in some way that just stuck with them and most will be sticking with them for life. It's just the energy that he brought and the support that he brought and the love, genuinity and authenticity that he brought to any situation. The man also used to talk a lot of shit. So he was also a funny man and had a lot of personality. You check. So
Yup,
and
yup.
my most cherished moment with the man, because I didn't really get to know Zion and meet Zion in his adulthood, because he passed in his 18 when he was 18. Back when my cannabis partaking days, you check. We and I don't know why it was, because usually I don't smoke with people that's still in high school. Zion was like he was either 18 or in his 11th grade year, and we was in Smart. And for some reason we smoked that time. That was the first and last time we smoked together. And everybody for some reason had bust off to go outside for something. And I don't even remember what the friggin' joke was that. But we watched each other and say some dumb heck. I'm sure it probably wasn't even like it probably my made up language that I always talk. I don't remember where it was. But we kick up in a laugh, dog. And I'm talking about a laugh, and I'm kid you not, this is not a joke. It probably lasted about 15 minutes. And you would, if you could only imagine what it feels like to laugh for 15 minutes, it's no longer funny, dog. It's painful.
Yeah, that's
Because
how we hold.
you are trying your hardest to catch
Yeah.
your fucking breath, dog.
Yeah, you
And
guys
we
love
just
it.
can't stop laughing because we high as shit. And
Yeah,
it becoming torture at this point. But
yeah,
it's just so friggin' funny. We
yeah.
are call that the hurricane, you check.
Okay, yup,
So
yup,
that was
yup.
my most cherished moment with the guy. Well, yeah, he was really a positive influence, and I will say I do see and feel that energy when I am around you, CJ. So I you have embodied it in some way. I feel like you really did, like you said, you reached out, but you could feel that energy, and you could also feel it within upper class, even if you had never mentioned or never stated that was one of the driving factors of the pillars and why you operate the way you do, and some of the ideas you have within incorporated in upper class. You feel it just within your heart, that vibe. So just
Thank you.
wanted to say that. Yeah, man.
Well, I agree with what you said right there, Farah. Like, because ironically enough, I knew Zion before I really knew CJ. And the fact that CJ was old, I really met Zion randomly because, like what you said, he was just a younger kid talking shit. And I like a good joke, and like this man would just crack a joke on anything and anybody, and it's so clean and calm. So that's how me and this man kick up. Like usually, I ain't have no reason to be with that younger demographic. He was a few years younger than me, but he was very close friends with my nephew Malachi. They were really tight. They were like best friends at the time. So he used to be more in my circle through Malachi. So Malachi would bring it around, and like what I really like about it is Zion or speaking man. Like, he don't even know you, and he talk to you like he know you. Like he just like I never meet this man. The first thing he do is crack a joke. Like who is this kid? You know what I'm saying? So like that's how my connections came with me. Like and more and so times we kick it and hang out and what have you, and bonded through jokes and like his sense of hustle. So like I could truly see that in upper class. Like I feel like Zion could have sell you anything. I say you a joke, I say you fish, I say you fruit has. Car,
Yup.
anything Zion could have, he had that hustler mentality, you check. So he always had that sense of community, and because like he was so outspoken, that's why I feel like his connection, he could have connect with anybody. Like that's why when I attend the funeral, you saw people younger than him and people much, much older than him all had that connection, and that was only at the age of 18. And that's like when he had just beginning his 18 years. So I mean, some of these connections spanned before that to show you what kind of genuine person Zion was.
Right.
So that
Yeah,
was a true thing, because I mean he younger than me connecting me to other people. Like I think only once I knew Zion is how I got to know you, and you're older than Zion too. So it's like he really provided a sense of glue with people, and some of the people that he paired 7 years ago, well, more than 7 years ago, somehow still linked because he knew how personalities were much from a young age. So that was a big thing.
That's a serious way you put it. The glue. Down a
Yeah.
serious glue, yo. A serious glue, a natural glue. Like
definitely.
really.
And
Yeah, I
when
like about
one more thing I'd say before you go with
yeah, go
just him being bold and just speaking to people he never meet, like he know them. First time he meet my girlfriend at the time, now wife. He what she he didn't talk to she at all before. No words spoken prior to this. First thing that come out his mouth. You know what you look like? A spoiled roti dog. Like what the this man.
That's crazy.
Hey,
Hey,
you know,
first thing.
hey, Waja, before y'all really move, just to show a little more respect, right? Just to show you, right, like what went down from the inside. I remember a moment, yeah, a lot of people don't know this, right? But there is a moment when I feel like Zion actually shifted, Like he went through a period in the house where he would close his door, he'd block off all his windows, he asked grandma for some dark curtains. And this man used to come home from school and just like in general every day he just really locked himself away, yo. And it was almost like he was in a cocoon, like a weird heck. Like I was like, this man losing it to me, the hell he done, but I go, saying I might beat and Khalid, we all just move on, just leave you do your thing. But Zan had really like put himself through a transformative phase, I feel like. And when this man came, like when he started to, I guess, socialize again with people, he was like, he was different, yo. And he don't get me wrong, he always had a certain level of charisma and, like kindness, and he was always good with people. But I feel like Zion actually put in some type of work at a very young age that most of us don't do until, like what I was saying, until my older. You check until you look into that answer is when you want to put in this work. But Zion sat there. I'm not sure exactly what triggered him to put in this work. He always talk about getting beaten fifth grade from my mother in front of the whole class as one of the life changing moments for him. But this was a little later on than fifth grade. So me, what caused this one. But I just remember, like, I really want to point out that I feel like Zion actually isolated himself and put himself in a type of like in a crazy state where he transformed his mind and how he thought and his perspective. Something that really like carried him to, and like he magically became. Actually, me and Zion used to play soccer together, y'all. I swear, like me gonna like we used to play soccer because remember we only 2 years apart. So when I ain't 10th grade, Zion just pulling up. I like when I 11th grade, Zion ain't 9th grade now. So we playing soccer together for 2 years in Central. I even play against Webb in complex and stuff. But yeah, right. So we on the same soccer team, and while I playing with Zan is like a basic soccer player. He not like he ain't focused on soccer. He just playing because one, I had to play, and why not? You know what I mean? Why not? So he playing on Zan basic. Zan ain't really doing much on the soccer field. But I remember when I think when I was in my 12th grade year, Zan all of a sudden after that cocoon vibe, the man
Wow.
became a star on the soccer field, yo. No bullshit. No bullshit. All of a sudden, Zan scoring goals. You could ask Mr. Bally. All of a sudden, Zan scoring goals. I watching Zan score goals. I remember what happened now. Zan actually lost his memory, y'all. That's when he went in that dark phase in his room. He had actually, I was there.
On the
It was
field,
on the
right?
soccer field, and I guess someone hit him in his head during like a jump attack for the ball. And he came off the field. He started walking around the field like he was confused. Like he was like, he didn't know what day it was. He didn't know where he knew the basics. He knew who he was, but he had lost his short term memory. And after that, I feel like it's like it spurred something. You know what I mean? And it's caused him to think differently and to really want to put in more. Right? I'm not sure why, but he really magically became good at soccer. And he magically when he started to spearfish, Zan taught himself to spearfish. He just sit there and he literally watched videos on spearfishing all day. He had a type of passion. He had a type of passion about him that I really respected. You know what I mean? Even when I look back now, it's like wow, Zan was so passionate. Zan is the reason why I had to take pictures, for instance. Why I bought a camera. Like Zan would tell Zan the reason why I made music partially. He was like, yeah, dude, we got to do these things. Like, and his reason for photography was really like when I started to think, like, my little brother smarter than me, like his reason for photography was really like he was like, dude, right now we live in a time, my friend. If we just take a picture of this area right here, you understand that 50 years down the line, that picture was something serious. He's like, every picture is a documentation of a time that is passing. He was like, pictures are worth a lot. It's very important to be a photographer. And I was like, dude, you're right, that's very smart. And this is just how we used to talk, and this is just how we used to think. And like just to really sum up Farah's question about how I cope. I cope by just remembering, just do my best to remember. As humans, we to forget. I remember the good, and I remember how I was a mother's cunt. How when Zan used to ask me to go fishing, how I could have say yes more to go fishing. You know what I mean? How I didn't care to fish. I was like, man, me like fishing, Zan. Them fish don't be biting all the time. I lay afraid of the ocean, you know what I mean? Not terrified to the point where, I could swim and everything, raised in the ocean, but Zan was braver than me. Zan was willing to die in the ocean. Me, I didn't want to die in the ocean. I was like, yeah, nah, bro. You ain't going out far, Zan. I fuck deep, I fuck dark. I know you seen that kind of thing. I like, dude, that fuck too scary, man. But I used to go sometimes just to look after him, just to, you know what I mean, have it up because he needs somebody to really go it. But I had to look back now and be like, man, CJ, you were selfish because you wasn't doing shit with your life during them times like that. It was best I had gone fishing. Even if I had read a book on shore, even if I had do something else, you know what I mean? I should have gone fishing with my little brother, just thinking, had I known that why my little brother could pass away, had that been a thought, I wasn't a thought, that was not a
Right.
thought. It just happened and then it became a reality. But before then, it was never a thought, yo. So that's the way to really think of it now. Is like, I learned a valuable lesson back then. Like, do my best today not to take things for granted. And like I admit to y'all, I've been 7 years past and I'm beginning to take things for granted again. You check. So, yeah.
You know, what I really like about podcasting. I know everybody that go into certain things and they have this aspect of, I want to be the biggest podcast. I want to do this, do that. But the opportunity to have conversations like these and come to different realization and be able to learn and leave the conversation with something different, you know what I'm saying? Because I listening to this talk and right now, as I could say, and this ain't not even to boost the man head or nothing, like this probably was the most, I say right now, this is the most impactful pod that I had personally. Because
I'd
like
have to
certain
agree.
things I taken from it is like, what the fuck? Like even I didn't know Zan personally, but even like hearing the how y'all talk about him, you know what I'm saying? And when it happened, me seeing when everything that was going on social media, like, and hearing it, I liken this shit so much to my father. And then when you said, like, when people pass, they give out certain gifts, and boy, that shit is insane. You say that to me, dog, because when my father passed, and my father was saying this, that's why I say this conversation so crazy to me. Because how y'all talking about this? This is how I felt about my father. When I went to my father's funeral, I'm like, what, who the fuck is all these people? And when you say that, it's like after my father passed, the one thing that I took from his funeral was being able to connect to everybody. And it's, I think around that time is when I really started to dedicate myself and say, you know what? My mission in life is to help a lot of people win, bro. One way or the other or another, I gonna make sure I help people win. And y'all heard me plenty of times, even up to just the other day on Facebook, I just pour out my mission again. Like, bro, one way or the other, I gonna take information and I gonna give it out to the people and I'll make sure like everybody get a sense of how you're talking about it, even how you talk about agriculture, even like this whole fucking conversation, like a wake up moment. Even when you talk about how Zion sit in a room and really just meditate, you call it magic. That fuck is intentional, bro. That fuck is intentional actions that we need to start to implement in our life to become one with ourselves and really find our purpose. That's the magic. You know what I'm saying? That was the magic. The man find real, genuine purpose in his life and approached it with insane intentionality and desire. That boy that could have never failed.
Exactly.
And these are things that we need to be able to tap into. So like I listen in here and like, what, you know what? After this pod, I moving different, bro. I got to go and reconnect with myself a little bit more, bro. As man.
I feel the same way right now. I feel like
As man.
This podcast doing that for me. You know what I mean? That's how come I say I really like to talk, and I don't always get to. People don't ask me these questions how I like that. You know what I mean? How I need to hear them sometimes, and I appreciate the intimacy of me knowing all of y'all from long. You know what I mean? It's y'all understand. Y'all know what to ask. Y'all know what kind of questions to ask me. Check. And I appreciate it. Y'all clarifying things for me. And just like you said, Web, after this, I got to move different. You know what I mean?
Got
I
to.
got to get more in tune.
And the little things, man, I really appreciate you. This is me personally. This ain't me. Well, on behalf of the team, we really appreciate you coming through and being genuine. I mean, I guess I ain't got to set up, but we know you were coming with. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know what kind of bring this to everything, but really appreciate that. And even you thanking me for that. My boy, I forget that fucking that. Tell you bring it, my boy. If, like, and this is not me trying to boast or nothing. I don't really do that shit a lot in the dog. And I don't really.
No, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
And a friend of mine the other day, well, actually 2 days ago, the man really had to tell you, like, bro, you to do a lot of things like that, bro. And sometimes you to be so hard on yourself about being able to help people when they don't take the help and these kind of things. And you gotta count the blessings and look at. So just being able, just saying like, yo, shout out, like, wow, you know what? Are you doing the right things, man? Because the little things, people, they remember them things, you know what I'm saying?
Yup. People don't remember for it.
But on behalf of the team, really give thanks for coming through. I know, like you shared, and I want people realize the man just had a car accident today, like before the pod. To be honest, the man nearly canceled and still he said, you know what? He gonna come through and support the vibes. And like the man said, we been supporters, man. These ain't new shot. We just cap for the pod. You know what I'm saying? We had these things long. It's real genuine support. And on behalf of the Virgin Islands community, thank you for the role you play in being a pillar in upper class and the whole brand, not just you. Everybody that was along the way that get it to where and was pivotal in getting it to where it is now. Give thanks for being that, because like you said, that's what we need more of. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if everybody were moving with that virtue, was standing on actual values and actually being out here with intentionality of being a good person and not trying to be a mother skunk. Because it's gonna happen, you know. We are human. You're gonna be a mother skunk sometimes, but it's all about how you respond to that and how much you could really give into this all. And that's one thing I'm gonna always big up upper class for them, man. Always giving back to everybody and the media in real life, no matter what it is, and that's what the fuck we need. We need more of that shit, you know what I'm saying? And this fuck, like I said, I go enough. No, this fuck motivates me. I gotta go hard. I gotta go hard. Fuck I stay in there. I gotta go hard.
Is it true? That's
But
what
give,
these pods is for.
but give
Yeah.
thanks, man. Give thanks.
Yeah, man.
Anybody else?
For y'all, you know what I mean? This guy come through podcast, and I had to come through. I come Friday. I said I had to come through. Oh yeah, I was gonna say you one thing, the web. You know what I mean? And this is important because one thing I realized though is stress. Sorry to lengthen the podcast even more, but in you saying that you gonna go hard, right? I actually been having a realization recently where I'd be a little too hard on certain things,
Mm.
too extreme. I think we need to also practice like in you going hard, right? I just want to identify that just the word hard. I just want to point out that make sure you also being soft to your check.
Mm.
Make sure you're being soft to certain realities as well, because sometimes when you're trying to go too hard, it could put you a little too one-sided to check, and that's what I've been suffering from lately. Me going too hard to the point where we going too hard on certain things and then losing and really missing out on the soft things. And remember, the soft to overcome the hard, the weak to overcome the strong. You check. Life is a delicate balance. So I know you a man, I couldn't tell that you a man that take things serious. Me and you have a similar experience, you know what I mean? So I don't know that when you say you're going hard, I know what I mean for you. And I just want to, as somebody that's in your shoes in an extent, we also need to remember to be soft with ourselves and be soft with others. You know what I mean?
Give thanks for that.
Yeah, man.
With that, fire away.
Gratitude, bro.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah, gratitude.
One
Yeah,
one
give
more
thanks.
before we
Gratitude.
roll.
Yeah, every episode. I don't know if I could positively say every episode, but most episodes after the episode, we like to give gratitude for anything that happened within the past. Well, for us, it's the past week, and we're doing it every week. But CJ, you could give gratitude for anything that's happened recently in the past, whatever the case may be. Just give gratitude for something. You know what I'm saying? Before we leave out.
Gratitude. Well, I give God thanks for still being here, for still the fact that I just still there. I definitely, after that experience, I've become very detached from time, and I always feel like, wow, this could be it. That like for me, this could be it for people around me, and so I definitely have to give thanks for the fact that he's still there, and people that's important to me for the most part still there. You know what I mean? Y'all still there. I just give thanks that things still somewhat the same. You check that I could still still have a chance to live and to learn.
I go next. I really want to give thanks. You know, give things. Give
Okay.
thanks for like, it's kind of weird to say, but I know why giving thanks for is for me to put the energy out. But all the little things in the world, like all the little things, like the barista, the person who makes my drink a little better, the one person who makes sure my food was decent, the next person who come and check on me and say, yo, you need a next drink. The person on the plane that I've been traveling lately, the person on the plane are coming through and cleaning the seat them before we jump on the plane. I even give thanks to Makita today for just being a nurse. I know how tailored that. This everybody that's doing going about their day, doing what they're doing and giving value back into the wall and just the wall itself, just for plants growing outside, like for real, everything, man. I just want to give thanks for the opportunity to be a part of life and really be in this experience.
Respect.
This one I want to give gratitude and give thanks to the sense of community that we're creating here. You know, giving people a place to come through and talk. Like just to see like how we get CJ to come on the party. It does spark for me and him having a conversation and knowing the kind of person he is, the individual he is, and the brand that he represents. And just like he said from a conversation, he just didn't want to disappoint. Like we set a date at random and he held to it. I mean, look at the circumstances he had to overcome just to stand on business and hold true to his sense of community and his sense of commitment. So I give thanks for the space that we're creating, and hopefully, we'll continue to build and make these connections and provide that a space for people to just come and talk. So they not only spark, new ideas in our head, we may spark new ideas in their head, and we could better ourselves. Like from the, it's just look at the example of this part. I mean, we had open conversation and we all took something from it. So give thanks for the community that we're creating here.
And I guess I close out. I don't give gratitude just for my family, man. Have being able to come home from work to my family, see my daughter, my son. Yeah, I've always been positive throughout my entire experience with my daughter and things like that. But her heart condition was extremely serious, and so was her surgeries and things like that. She could have easily not made it through that successfully, and I would have been one child shot. So I do want to give gratitude for that. Um, After Zion's passing, like she just said, the mortality, you just really understand that you are mortal after you lose somebody that's close. And for me, that's the closest person that passed. My grandfather passed as well. He wasn't that close. Zion was definitely a closer family member than he was. But you really open your eyes to that mortality. And for a long time, I lived in fear. So I just want to give thanks to us for that. The family that's with us, the family that I have here with me, my wife, my kids.
Respect for it.
And with that, that's a great place to end. And my father used to say, peace over the heart, much love. Thank
Shop
you for
upper
coming through.
class.
Oh, yeah. Let's end there.
Yes.